Okay, it's raining today, so today we're going to talk about building yourself an end-fed half wave. Probably one of the easier antennas to build. And being a half wave, I'll just try and move this for the light. We want a half of a wave. So as we did on the dipole antenna, how do we work it out? We've got the speed of light, which is 3 times 10 to the 8. And we've got our frequency, which in this case is going to be, call it 7.1 megahertz. So what do? We say 300. So 300 million is 3 times 10 to the 8, divided by the frequency in hertz. 1. So same as the last one, 300 divided by 7.1. That's going to give us 42.25 meters. That's the full wavelength. We want half a wavelength. So a half wave is equal to 21.13 meters. But we have a velocity factor, which we also discussed last time, which is about 0.9, about 0.5. So we've got to adjust this by 0.5. So the actual length we're looking for our end-fed half wave, which is the way it's always just mentioned, like that, is 21.13 times 0.95. That's the velocity factor, which we'll take into account. And that's going to give me 20.07 meters. So generally they're saying we should look at anything from 19. So when you're buying wire, I would say you're going to buy 21 meters. But your antenna is going to be anything from 19.5 to 21 meters. So a few things, a little bit of theory. Okay, the theory behind the end-fed half wave, and why do you need an unun? There's an impedance mismatch on an end-fed half wave, and at the feed point you're going to have anything from 2,000 to 5,000 ohms. Your coax is 50, so you've got to put a unun, which stands for unbalanced to unbalanced, essentially a transformer that's going to reduce the impedance from 2,000, 5,000 ohms, depending what you're using, down to 50. So if you were to take 50 ohms times 49 or times 50 as a round figure, you've got 2,500 ohms. So a 1 in 49 should generally balance it. Some people use a 1 in 64. When you're going to make an end-fed half wave for 40 meters, you cut it for the lowest frequency, which is 40 meters. And that should resonate on the harmonics. It will allow you to work on a number of bands without a tuner. I use a tuner on mine all the time because it just makes it a little bit better. And it works like a dream. So that's a 49 to 1 unun. And about, if you look at all the websites, they say 66 feet, which is roughly the same, 20 meters, somewhere around there. So I normally take 21 meters, and then once I've set it up, I work it backwards. So I'll make it shorter and shorter. I do not cut the wire. Like with the dipole, I'll wind the excess wire around the end and adjust it until I'm happy. If you really want to cut it, then you can. But the SWR is going to be affected by the height above the ground, the thickness of the wire. There's a whole lot of variables. So I use relatively thin wire. It's 20 strands, and that is at 0.2 mil. And that works fine for me. The thicker the wire, the better. But the thicker the wire, you've got to have a compromise at some stage, between weight and thickness and what you're trying to do. So I've set mine up that it resonates at 7.1. The SWR for me has never been 1-to-1. It's always been a little bit higher. I've never had a huge amount of success having low SWRs on all the bands, but I've used mine, my in-fed half wave, I've used all the way to 6 meters. And a standard cheap tuner can do it. Because the in-fed half wave is resonant, you don't normally need a counterpoise. So if you have a counterpoise, it's recommended at, I just got my calculator here, 0.05 wavelength. So it's 40 meters times 0.05. It's about 2 meters. Something else you've got to remember, with any antenna that doesn't have a balun, you're going to find that the braiding of the coax, so that's the plaited copper braiding, forms a counterpoise. So you will have essentially a counterpoise all the way down to your radio. And how do you find out if that happens? If you've got your SWR meter and you touch your radio, so you're watching, you're pressing the mic and you're talking, or you're just holding it, and if you touch your radio, the SWR changes, that's because the braiding of the coax is acting as a counterpoise. So then you need a choke. That's another video. It's easy to make, but the choke isolates the radio from the coax. And it's just better not having all that back into your radio. So that's about it. I've shown you the calculations. I'm not going to go and put one together today. It's pretty easy. If you need an unun, we've got ununs in stock. That is www.thehamshack.co.nz. And you can pick up a 49-to-1 unun. And you need 21 meters of wire, and then just obviously your coax. And that's it. I've used mine and I'm probably made 200-300 contacts on it. What I find is handy, it's quick to put up, very quick. And I use it for a lot of POTA stuff. I do prefer a dipole, but it's a lot more work to put up. An in-fed half wave is really easy and easy to build. So why don't you try it? All you'll need is basically a SWR meter. And there we go. But if you work with something of around 20 meters, just over 20, and you've got a radio with a tuner, no problem at all. All right, if you have any questions, give me a shout.